You know what day it is? Yes, it is that day. It is Friday. Hey, TGIF, Soapbox Nation. I'm your host, Matt Morgan, and thank you for tuning in to episode 133. Yeah, we're up to 133 on Soapbox Daily. And today, for today's Friday show, we're going to discuss something of interest. And basically what our topic is today is, so what is going to be next for the world? Yep, what is going to be next for the world? That is what we're discussing today. We're going to get into this today just to share my thoughts and views. I mean, I know I usually do some research and some background and everything else to give you some stats and figures and questions. I don't know. I'm just going to freelance. I'm just going to go off the cuff when it comes to this particular topic today, because I have some views on it and I'm going to throw some thoughts out there with regards to this. But before we get into that, hey, how's your integrity been this week? How's your integrity today? Are you being the positive change? Are you setting the right example? You know, it's a domino effect, folks. Integrity. You gotta do the right thing when no one else is watching, because hey, that's the only way to influence the world. And your examples will pass on to other people, and hopefully they get the hint and they catch on and they do the right thing as well. Onwards and upwards. And other than that, when you're sitting around today on this Friday or sometime this weekend, please check out our central hub of themadmorgan.com. Yes, our central website of themadmorgan.com, or over on Twitter at madsoapbox. We'd love to hear from you, but you got all your information and facts and figures and details and links and everything else, all that on those two particular sources, namely themadmorgan.com, which are going to highlight all our projects and shows. So let's get into today's topic, folks, for this Friday. And what is going to be next for the world? Now, I don't know about you, but myself, when I look out at the world, I think it's pretty stale. It's pretty much routine. You wake up, you do your job, or you go to school, or do whatever you need to do. You toil through the day. It starts getting dark. You come home, you settle in, relax, and eventually go to bed, rinse and repeat. Weekend comes, you try to do what you can, either errands around the house or whatever you need to do. And it's just one week bleeds into the next, and it just seems, what's the point? What's the point? Sometimes you get a distraction, you go to a party, you go dance, you mind-altering stuff, whether it be alcohol or drugs or whatever the case may be, depending on who you are. I mean, everybody tries to make meaning of it and put sense into it, and they go on vacation thinking it's going to refill them, and it's onwards and upwards. I mean, the other thing is that we're not only subjected to our daily routine, we're also subjected to a whole bunch of influences that try to mold the way we think about the world and the way we view about the world, namely media. Media is not always 100% accurate, let me tell you, my friends. This whole Ukraine thing going on, the media presents an interesting picture, but when you actually talk to people that are closer to the reality of the action, you get a different story. And the reason I say that is because my missus is from Poland and she has family over there and friends, and they give a whole different picture than what the media is presenting. So what I'm basically saying is, what's next for the world when we have all these influences that are trying to get us convinced that the world is a certain way? They call it false news, they call it this, they call it that. There's been a little uproar about it over the last couple of years. And how do you view the world when you view it outside your window? When you get in your car, when you go to the store, when you go driving, when you go traveling? I mean, how do you view the world? We see pros and cons and negatives and positives. And sometimes it's just a little depressing, because it's like, hey, what's going on with this world if this is the reality of what we live in? And it makes sense why people end up giving up at times, unfortunately. Some people just give up because they wave their hands up in the air and they go, why am I here? Why am I doing this? What's the point? And, I don't know if you've been catching my episode yesterday, but overall, I try to be optimistic about this because I strongly believe that humankind can do great things. And I believe the individual person can do great things. It doesn't matter where you're from, your race, your creed, your background, your culture, you name it, I don't care. If you're a good person, you're a good person. Nothing else matters. It's your actions that matter, first and foremost. If you're a good person, you do good things, you live a wholesome life, have morals and values and honor, great. Then I don't care anything else about you other than the way you treat other people and the way you live your life. And you live your life positively without taking from others or hurting others, then great, awesome. And this is what I like to believe. And there are professionals out there that will agree with me. The fact that the majority of humankind is good. The majority of humankind is good. Good, positive intents, everything else. They want to have a a happy, safe life and live it to the fullest. So what's next for the future? I mean, there's predictions. There's been some people that have predicted how the future is going to go and how the world's going to go. And there's always been predictions. And you yourself have probably had predictions. I don't like to think about predictions because a lot of them are usually doomsayer predictions. I would like to believe that somewhere in the world right now, although we see all this negative, we see all the political BS, we see all the wars going on, we see all about the country's unrest and this and that, I would like to believe that somewhere in the world right now, there is a change happening for the better. There is a leader, there is a movement, there is somebody that's doing something that's going to flip the world on its end and be the positive that we need, to be the positive change in the right direction that we need. Kind of like the light that, shines brightness on everything. And I like to believe that that is moments away, but in a positive thing, so we could have a brighter future, a better world, finally get out of this darkness that we've been in for the last 100 years of repetitive routine, of political unrest and country unrest and wars and battles and this and that and all this negative stuff that we really don't need, which really is just bad. Get rid of money, get rid of, indifference, get rid of, all this crime and all the stuff that's not needed. We should be able to live peacefully and have a productive future. And I do believe we can get there, but we all collectively have to work together. So what's going to be next for the world? I'm hoping it's not going to be this negative that I keep hearing about and the news is presenting and people keep talking about, that we're at their end of days. I believe that everybody would like to see a better world. And, what do you think? I would love to hear from you, but, we cannot rely on somebody else to take responsibility for how we want the world to be. We all have to step up and make the first move. We have to make the first move to make the world better, whether it be through science, whether it be through technology, whether it be through just our change of our attitudes, of being more accepting and more loving and more, taking in of other people and working with other people towards collective goals that are positive and beneficial to everybody. And for God's sakes, get rid of money. Money is just the root of all evil. If we didn't have this form of commerce, this form of, leveling of, it's putting a divide between people because you have the haves and have-nots. And it's not right. If we are all on the equal level and we all work towards the common good, the common goal, we can get so much further. Rather than just benefiting the individual, we benefit everybody. So I'm hoping what's next for the world is that we finally wake up, we get our heads out of our butts, and we realize that, hey, what we've been doing for a long time has not been working. We have to get on the right track. We have to start doing things different because personally, I know for a fact that the moment that you actually make the hard decisions to change the way you're doing things is the moment that positive change happens. Because if you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you always got. Remember that. If you don't change your ways, your world's not going to change. You have to change your ways. And everybody has to change their ways. So you have to influence other people to change their ways for the better. Get on it. You can't yell at somebody else for the reason why your life is the way it is. You can't yell for somebody else for the reason the world is the way it is. You try to have to influence people to realize where their ignorance is and help them see that there's a better way and a positive way that's going to benefit everybody. All right. So that's my blab I want to say on this Friday. And I want to thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. I'm your host, Matt Morgan. I love doing what I do. I love being here for you. And it's, as I said in yesterday's episode, it's a little discouraging at times, but you got to be optimistic. You got to be optimistic about the world too. We can get there, but we all have to pitch in and we have to change our ways. And that's just the way we're going to do it. We can have the world that we want, where everybody has everything that they need. Everybody's provided for. Everybody's happy and healthy and lives long lives, if not forever. But we'll figure it out at that point. I hope you have an amazing Friday moving forward. I hope you have an amazing weekend moving forward. Please keep your integrity in check on this weekend. Rethink before you decide to do something stupid. Onwards and upwards. Be the best person that you possibly can be. Set the positive example. I'm going to wrap it up. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next episode.